Alright. How we's all doing then? Testing, testing, testing. I think that's alright. So, fellas, and gals, um, welcome to the September 2025 monthly update. That's pretty good, isn't it? Biggest sort of development, in terms of uploads at least, is I've resumed uploads on the gaming channel about halfway through. I started making those videos public. Most of them had already been scheduled already, but I just started making them public. And I've already, as of yesterday, recorded every single video for October as well. So all of October's videos for the gaming channel are now all already up and scheduled, and all that. So that's good. I think this is further ahead than I've ever been before. We're only just at the end of September, and I've already gotten all of October's videos ready. And we'll probably just keep going into November. Hopefully that's the plan. Also, in regards to the gaming channel, I've decided, I kind of mentioned this in one of the videos, but it makes more sense to do it here since you're probably actually going to see this first. I've decided that I'm not going to be using the green screen anymore. It was just a little experiment that I tried for a little bit, but it's such a pain to set up, and because I don't have room to have it set up properly, I can't light it properly, and so it doesn't really look very good. And it's very tiring having to keep putting it up and then taking it back down. If I have more room, I could have it up permanently and just put it to the side and then bring it out. But I have to keep unpacking it and doing all this, and it's just, and I have to have half of it out. I mean, if you see here, these are the actual stands for it. I have to have them out permanently if I want to. So I'm gonna pack those away actually at some point. So yeah, maybe at some point we're gonna do my room up. Because I mean it's quite an old house, and we're gonna do all the rooms up at some point. And when we do mine up, I think then I might have more room to have it out permanently. And if so, I may do it again. But and because we're stopping the Amnesia, this is kind of a spoiler, but then again, there's only really one video left of this to go up. Amnesia, the bunker. As much as I have been enjoying it, I'm stopping that series because there's this point that I just can't progress at. So we're replacing that with Fallout. I've already recorded the first 4 parts of Fallout, the first game, which is going to be starting at some point next month. And yeah, I'm enjoying it very much so far. It's now the oldest game I've played on the channel, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, so that's pretty much all the updates as far as the gaming channel are concerned. Anything else I've done this month? I've done a bit more musical stuff. None of it's public yet, but I have recorded a couple more songs. Just doing this, this next album is just being done a little bit at a time. It's been quite a while since I've done any music. I think it was in February, the last time I released music, and this is easily the longest gap I've gone without releasing any music, but I just haven't been in the mood for it, No paintings, haven't read anything, so not really much to do, and haven't uploaded anything to this channel either. So hence the things I've done this month, nothing yet in the description. That's going to age badly because I'll probably remove it, which is what I usually do. But yeah, so that is everything I've done. Plans for next month, as I say, continue with the gaming channel. I'm thinking of maybe continuing a bit on the last film that I was working on, which I started. I think it was in December of last year that I started it, but I haven't made any progress on it since then, really. And I've been thinking about maybe doing a bit more of that. But yeah, not that much plan-wise. October, obviously Halloween. I don't know if I'm going to do anything special for Halloween as far as the channels are concerned. Probably not. But yeah. So that is that. Now on to things I've watched this month. Now I've only watched 3 films this month, but they're all crackers. Particularly the first and last. The middle one is probably actually the most famous of the 3, but probably my least favorite of the 3 that I've watched. But we're just gonna get right in with Angel's Egg from 1985. This is a Japanese animated film. I know there's a shorter way of saying that, but I refuse to say that word. It's a curse word as far as I'm concerned, and far more offensive than any of the slurs around there. The shortened form of animation that's used in Japan. But I'm not going to use that word because I despise it. And it's not like that, really. Anime is the word I'm talking about. I don't like anime. I don't like the word. I don't like the people who like it. I don't like it. I don't like the animation style of the, like that Yu-Gi-Oh! Dragon Ball look. I don't like it. This film doesn't look like that. It's Japanese and it's animated. That's the only thing it has to do. I wouldn't call it anime, personally. It's just an animated film. Why do they get their own word? The Germans don't get their own word. Why is Japanese animation kept in its own category? That offends me slightly, actually. So it's not anime, it's just a Japanese animated film. And a bloody good one. I feel that it's very much Tarkovskian. It kind of feels like an animated Tarkovsky movie. Film, sorry, I used the M word as well. It's like an animated Tarkovsky film. That's what it feels like. Lots of very slow, lingering shots. Lots of shots of nature and just atmosphere and very little dialogue. It is just kind of, very similar to the kind of stuff he was up to, and I really liked it. I don't know if I'd call it my favourite of the 3, but that one and the third one are in... I mean, I've only watched them both once, of course, so I'll need to rewatch them to properly get them and figure out, which ones I really like. But they're so different, it's hard to... But yeah, I just really liked it. I haven't seen anything else by that director. It's really surreal. It's really atmospheric. It's not set design, obviously, because it's animated, but the environments are done really well. And the characters are, on the simple side, because obviously the characters are usually more simple than the backgrounds in most animations. But I just really like it. It's hard to explain. Annoyingly, what I do when I want to show films to my parents is I will download the video, and from this website that I've linked here for Angel's Egg, you can download the film straight from there. You can, save video as and save it straight to your computer, and that's what I did. It did take about 2 hours to download it, but it works, But annoyingly, I tried to upload it to YouTube, which is what I always do, and I've done this for probably 100 films. And I just upload it to my channel privately, and you don't get copyright strike or anything like that. If you upload it privately, it gets blocked, of course, but you can still watch it. And I've done this with hundreds of films, but for some reason, for Angel's Egg, it didn't block the video, it deleted the video. It was really, it's the first time I've ever had this done. It said, we are not going to allow you to, like it said, like video deleted because it matches a video that someone else tried to upload once that had been blocked, which I just don't get, because like I said, hundreds of films I've uploaded, and as long as you keep them private, you're still allowed to watch them. But this one, it deleted it, which is really annoying. So if I want to show that to my parents, I'm gonna have to like get the DVD or find some other way of doing it, because it's really annoying. So yeah, obviously that's nothing to do with the film. That's just to do with YouTube's bizarre happening, right? But yeah, so that it's just a weird thing. But yeah, it's a really good film, Angels. Like one of the best animated films I've ever seen. I still wouldn't say it's my number one personally, but it is definitely top 10 animated films I've ever seen. It's fantastic. Then we move on to a very famous film called The Conversation from 1974. This is my very first film by Francis Ford Coppola. I've never seen any of his films before. It's pretty good. I particularly like the use of zooms in the film. That's really interesting, and the plot is rather interesting, but it's another one of these films where there's very little that happens in it, which obviously very little happens in a lot of films that I really like, but usually they'll have like 10 out of 10 for like cinematography and sound designs. Like Stalker, one of my favorite films, my second favorite after A Clockwork Orange. Like the plot is three guys walk for 2.5 hours. You know, that's it. Three guys walking for 2.5 hours. That's the plot of Stalker. But because it's shot so incredibly, and the sound design and the music and and every technical element of the film is so fantastic, it's a great film, even though nothing happens in it. With this, it's not as interesting visually. And then, you know, it's just not as interesting to watch. And the ending, they did this thing, spoilers for The Conversation, but the whole thing, the titular conversation is of these two people, and they're basically, at the beginning, this sentence that our main character, who's played by Gene Hackman, he overhears them saying, and they say like, he'll kill us if he gets the chance. That's what he overhears in this conversation. And that's the way it's phrased. He'll kill us if he has the chance. And so that makes our main character think that these two people are under threat from someone else. And he spends the whole film trying to find out what that's all about. And at the end, it's revealed that those two people were actually planning on killing the other person. And then it replays the first scene, and it says, he'll kill us if he has the chance. But that's not how they phrased it originally. So it's like, it feels kind of like a cheat to me. And I know the behind the scenes, I know that version of the phrasing was actually a mistake from the actor, and it wasn't meant to be used. And then the editor thought, oh, that'd be clever, but I really don't like it, because it kind of, it's like, that's not what he said, you know what I mean? And I know it's meant to be subjective, it's like, this is how the main character hit, but I think anyone can hear the difference between he'll kill us if he has the chance and he'll kill us if he has the chance. Those are two very different sentences. And I think the idea that he misheard the second version as the first version is just stupid, so I really don't like that element of it. I wish they'd just gone with the original one. I mean, again, I know it's meant to be the subjective experience, but it just feels like the second sentence would be actually how they pronounced it. They wouldn't have said he'll kill us if he has the chance. They'll say he'll kill us if he has the chance, because they're planning on killing him. So he'll kill us if he gets the chance. That's how you would actually say it. And so the fact that that's not how it was at the beginning of the film, as much as that would be a spoiler for the plot twist, it just kind of ruins it for me. So yeah, I didn't like it all that much. Excuse me, I'm being Sorry about that. My dad can't read. So that's the conversation. Not great. Sorry. Just great zooms. 10 out of 10 for the zooms. But you know, like 1 out of 10 for the plot twist because it's stupid. If you must know. But then we go from sort of okay Oscar-winning American films to absolutely fantastic, completely unknown Czechoslovakian film. Now I changed this just a few seconds ago because the actual translation from the Czechoslovakian title translates to English as The Virgin and the Monster, so that's why I put that there. But it's actually The Beauty and the Beast. It's an adaptation of Beauty and the Beast. Now, I haven't seen any other adaptation. I haven't seen the Disney version. I haven't seen the 1940s version. I've gotten about this close to watching the 1940s version a couple of times, but just haven't been in the mood. It is on my list, and it is one that I'm going to get to, the French version, you know, La Belle et la Bête, which is one of those films where people just decide to say the title. I mean, La Belle et la Bête literally means The Beauty and the Beast. This literally just French for Beauty and the Beast, but people say the French. Whatever. So that is one that I'm going to watch it at some point, but this just happens to be the one that I have gotten to first. Now, I did know this, but it didn't influence my decision to watch the film. I watched the film because I'd seen a couple of clips and thought this looks really cool. But it is by the same director who did The Cremator, which it's been ages since I've watched that, and that's a great film. But I think this film is actually even better than that. Like I said, I haven't seen any other version of Beauty and the Beast, so I can't compare it. But from the clips I've seen from the other versions, this definitely is the best looking of them, in my opinion. Really dark and grim and gritty, you know, and probably more accurate than a lot of the other versions, because a lot of these fairy tales famously were cleaned up when Disney did them. And a lot of them were actually very, very dark and not at all child-friendly in their original incarnations. And this is not a child-friendly film. This is a horror film. It's a gothic horror film. And it's fantastic. I mean, I love the design of the Beast. I've always thought it looked a bit naff, him being that sort of lion thing. Because he's meant to be this horrifying creature. But is this cute? I mean, maybe it's because I've grown up with cats. I just don't find lions creepy or scary at all. If I saw one in person, it'd be different, of course. But I mean, it just doesn't look like a monster. It just looks like a cat that just happens to be standing upright and wearing a coat. You know what I mean? But in this film, he's like this sort of bird type thing, like a kind of vulture, and it really does look creepy. But you can still see the actor's eyes, and the actor who plays the Beast, he actually has a name in the film, but I can't remember what it is. Some weird Czechoslovakian name. The guy who plays the monster is really good. He's like, his voice is really like the fact that, because obviously it's a beak, his mouth, so his face isn't very expressive, but the amount of expression that he gets out of his voice, his eyes, and his body language is fantastic. Like, just looking at his eyes, you can interpret all of his emotions and stuff from that. He's really, really great. But yeah, it's just a fantastic film. I'm sure people are aware I can't do reviews. There's a reason there haven't been any film talk videos for ages, because I look back at the older ones and they're just crap. I don't know what I'm talking about in them. Just spouting nonsense. So I don't know how long it's going to take me to get around to doing any more film talks. But I mean, there are people. I think from now on, the only videos I'm going to do where I'm talking about films or music or books or anything like that is when it's something that people haven't talked about. Because, like, if you compare my video about Tarkovsky to the Cinematography's video about Tarkovsky, and when they went through all his films, there's no comparison, really. Mine's absolute crap. So I don't think I'm going to bother if it's a popular thing that people have already talked about and done loads of videos about. I think I'm only going to do videos about stuff that are underrepresented. Like specifically, I want to do a video about the book Ice Henge because there is not a single video on YouTube talking about it, and it's a fantastic book. So I think I'm going to do that at some point. But I'm going to have to read it again, and I just can't be bothered at the moment. It's great that, isn't it? But yeah, this is just a fantastic film. It is like a lot of, Soviet films from the 70s. I don't know what film stock they had in the Soviet Union in the 70s, but I want to get my hands on it because it looks great. The colors, the grain, the grittiness, the grunginess, it just looks like Soviet films from the 70s are some of the best looking films. I just love them. And they made some of the best filmmaking. I mean, Tarkovsky obviously being number one, but there's some other great films from that era as well. But yeah, so this is another one. He's another one of these I think he's called Uri Hertz. I think that's how you pronounce his name. It's spelled Juraj, but I don't think Juraj is actually. I think from what I've seen, it's pronounced Uri. So Uri Hertz is the director of this and the Cremator, and he's one of those directors who I don't think I'll ever get around to watching all of his films because I went on I think it was Letterboxd. I've never been on this website before, but it had a list of all his films on it, and he's done like 50 films. He's another one of these directors like Ingmar Bergman and Akira Kurosawa who it's just like I'm never going to watch all of their films. Like there's some directors who you can watch who have like Andrei Tarkovsky, 7 films. David Lynch, but I can't remember the exact number, about 10 or something like that. There's some directors who they have a very manageable filmography and you can quite easily watch all of their films. But other directors just it's impossible unless you're like a super mega fan. Then it's impossible. But he's definitely one who, albeit I'm probably not going to get to all of his films, at least not for 50 years. But I'm gonna definitely check out more of his films because I've seen 2 of them and they're both masterpieces. So I'm definitely gonna check out more of his films. However, I think this is kind of going back to plans for next month again, but specifically plans for films that I'm going to watch next month. Andrei Zulawski or Zulovsky, I think it's Zulovsky, Andrei Zulovsky. The guy who did Possession and All the Silver Globe. I've seen 4 of his films. His first 2, Third Part of the Night and The Devils, or The Devil, I think. Yeah, The Devils is the other one, the British one. I think it's The Devil is his one, and then On the Silver Globe and Possession. I think because he's got one of these very small, manageable filmographies. Like if I look him up, Andrei Zulovsky. How many films has he done? He has done 1, 2, 3. I can't count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I can't bloody count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He's directed 13 films. Of 13 feature films. That's manageable. That's I think I can do that. So I think something that I'm going to do next month is I think I'm just going to go through all the films, probably rewatch the films of his I've already seen, because 3 of them are great. I mean, the Third Part of the Night, I know I didn't enjoy that much, but obviously on a second view I may like it more. The Devil is one that I quite liked, and then obviously Possession and On the Silver Globe are just 2 absolute masterpieces. But there's some of his others that I've seen bits of and they look really good, and then some others that I've no idea about. But yeah, that's only 9 more films, so not including the 4 of his that I've already seen. That's just 9 more films that I need to watch of his, which I think I can do that in a month, I'm sure. So yeah, I think in October I'm gonna go through his filmography and watch all of his that I can find at least, because obviously I may not be able to find all of his films, but I've discovered a new website, which is actually the one. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. This is the link for The Virgin and the Monster. This is going back. So that's the end of that section. Next month I'm going to go through all of Andrei Zulovsky's films. and all the ones that I can find at least. But going back to films that I've watched, The Virgin and the Monster, the link that I've put here is not actually the link that I watched the film for. I watched the film from the same website that I watched the conversation on, that High Movies. But then I discovered that it's on this website, this rarefilm.com, which is a much better website because not only is it in high quality and it doesn't buffer, like the High Movies website, as much as it has a great selection, it has the vast majority of films ever. It buffers really badly, probably because of that, and there's probably a lot of people on it, so it always really buffers. Whereas this rarefilm.com doesn't have nearly, I can only imagine, doesn't have nearly as many people on it. I mean, some, like, it has a comment section, and most of the films don't have any comments, and when they do, they might have 2 or 3. So, doesn't seem to be as popular as website, which means it doesn't buffer as badly. The film is in high quality there, but the number one benefit is that you can just download the film straight from the website. You do have to click a link to a different website to download it from there, but English subtitles hard-boiled into the footage, so, like with the other one, if I wanted to get it, because it's a foreign film, the subtitles are on the website, so if I wanted to get the film with the subtitles, I would have to record my screen while it played to get the subtitles. I couldn't just download the video, because if I downloaded the video, the subtitles wouldn't be on it. But on this website, on rarefilm.com, the subtitles are hard-boiled into the video, so, you can just download it straight from there. HD, full film, better looking than it was on the other website, if only by a tad. I think it's a more recent scan of the film. The one on High Movies seems to be an older one because it's very grainy. The one on Rare Film isn't nearly as grainy. So yeah, if you want to watch it, I'd both recommend watching it on rarefilm.com, which is what I've linked there, and also if you want to download it, you can download it straight from there as well. So yeah, that is all that. Now on to things that I've listened to this month. First, I've listened to all 3 of Yoko Ono's 1980s albums: Season of Glass from 1981, It's Alright I See Rainbows from 1982, and Star Piece from 1985. Now, all 3 of these links here are of the full album that someone's uploaded. Because for some reason, none of her 80s albums are on her channel as, like, the individual songs in, like, a playlist. Like, all of her 70s albums are up there, and her 60s stuff, and her 90s and onwards stuff. But for some reason, her 3 80s albums just aren't on there. And so I can't really pin out any individual songs for you. But I know that I did like them, and I think I like them more as they go along. So I think Star Piece is the best, then It's Alright, then Season of Glass. But yeah, so I know I enjoyed the albums while I was listening to them, but again, there's, like, for all of these albums, I've only listened to them once. All 9 of these albums that I've listened to. I've revisited quite a lot of songs from a couple of them, but, as far as full albums, I haven't re-listened to any of them yet. But yeah, I really enjoyed all of those. Then I listened to 3 Bee Gees albums. Continuing on from where I left off in the 60s, I listened to Odessa from 1969. Did I mention that these are 3 albums by the Bee Gees? I think I did. I listened to Odessa from 1969, which is a double album. Didn't like it all that much. It's very slow and sort of soft, sort of Baroque pop type stuff. Didn't like it all that much, to be honest with you. Then, from 1970, listened to Cucumber Castle, which was an improvement. Again, can't remember much about it, because I haven't re-listened to any of the other songs, apart from the song Bury Me Down by the River, which is one of my favourite Bee Gees songs now. So yeah, if I can recommend one song from that album, it's Bury Me Down by the River. That's just a really nice song, and one of my favourites of theirs now. But then, I listened to 2 Years On from 1970. this is the song that I've revisited the most. This is the album that I've revisited the most songs from. This is now my favorite pre-disco Bee Gees album. It was Idea. It's now been surpassed by this 2 years on. This is the closest they get to rock. Not all the songs are, but there's 3 songs specifically. Back Home, Lay It On Me, and Every Second, Every Minute are the 3 heaviest Bee Gees songs I've ever heard. People often say Horizontal is their heaviest album. No, this is their heaviest album. Those 3 songs, specifically Back Home, Lay It On Me, and Every Second, Every Minute. They are just fantastic. And there's also a really great song called Portrait of Louise, which is a lot softer, but still really, really good. So yeah, those are the 4 songs that I would recommend. And that's my favourite of their pre-disco albums now. And then I've started a discography. Now this is a guy, and I suppose technically a band, that I've been wanting to get into for quite some time. Not for ages, but for quite some time. Is one of these people that you grow up hearing 1 or 2 songs from. But it is Bob Marley, or specifically Bob Marley and the Wailers. Now, there's 2 incarnations of Bob Marley and the Wailers. There is when they were just called the Wailers, which is technically what these. I've still put Bob Marley and the Wailers here, but these 3 albums are technically released as just the Wailers. When it was sort of, it was Bob Marley and Peter Tosh who were kind of co-leading the band, and Bunny Wailer was another one who was kind of a co-leader. So it was kind of the 3 of them were kind of equally in charge of the band. And then after the album Burning, Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer left to do solo careers, and so Bob Marley, so they changed from the Wailers into Bob Marley and the Wailers. And I think they kept most of like the rest of the band, but it then became a Bob Marley sort of solo. It became more of a Talking Heads and Pill situation, where it's one guy in charge. So it's still a band, but there's a definitive leader, rather than it being a more Beatles, Fleetwood Mac kind of setup where you kind of have multiple leaders and they all contribute songs. So I thought I'll split it down that line, and I'll do so for this. I've done 3 albums by their first incarnation, where it was kind of the control was split evenly across Bob Marley and Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer. And then I don't know about next month, but next time I listen to albums by them, I'm going to do it from the Bob Marley solo era. So the 3 albums I've listened to here were Soul Rebel from 1970, which is their second album, and then Catch a Fire and Burning, both from 1973, which are one after the other. And Burning was the final album where it was a band as opposed to just a Bob Marley solo thing. But I really liked all 3 of these albums. They're all quite... I mean, again, reggae is not a genre that I've really gotten into. I've gotten into things influenced by it, like Public Image Limited, when they had Jar Wobble with them. His bass lines were apparently inspired by reggae. I'm not sure if I hear that, but that's what is said. And obviously I've heard the odd Bob Marley song. I Shot the Sheriff and 3 Little Birds being the 2, and No Woman No Cry, you know, those the famous big ones that you hear. Now, Soul Rebel, and I think all 3 of these actually, I had to make my own playlist for them, because there's some of these, again, Bob Marley, he's one of these people who, I don't know who's in charge of his YouTube channel, but they need to be fired. Because it's a 12-track album. If we're just talking about Soul Rebel, or Soul Rebels, it's a 12-track album, but 3 of them are missing from like the official playlist. The Soul Almighty, No Water, and Reaction aren't in the playlist that's actually on the channel. The official playlist. They are all uploaded, but they're uploaded as part of like compilation albums and stuff. They're not actually part of the Soul Rebel album. So I had to compile this playlist myself. And I think I had to do similar things for the other 2. If I check these out. No, Catch a Fire Catch a Fire, they're all there, and I think Burning, they're all there as well. I still compiled them myself because people have compiled them, but they'd included bonus tracks, and I'm only really interested in just the original albums. But yeah, those two are fine. Those two that are linked there are still my version of the playlist, like my own playlist of them, because, like I said, others include bonus tracks, and I just want the plain original album. But Soul Rebel, I had to compile my own one and add the 3 songs that were missing back in. And I don't know if they're exactly right. Like Soul Almighty No Water, it says -original, which gives me hope that it is the original. But Reaction doesn't, so I don't know if it's the right version. But anyway, it's the best I can do. And it sounds similar to the other songs on the album, so it seems like it must have been recorded around the same time. But yeah, there's songs, but as I was saying, because it's reggae, and because I'm not, I haven't really grown up with it, I'm sure someone who's really into it can hear all the differences between these songs, but to me, they really do all sound like variations on pretty much the same thing. But from what I can remember, the song I like the most from Soul Rebels is the song 400 Years. Which is actually Peter Tosh on lead vocals. And I really do like his stuff, actually. I mean, it is really good to have that kind of mixture. I really like bands that have multiple lead vocalists, like Beatles and Fleetwood Mac are 2 of my favourite bands. I think it's because of that there's multiple lead vocalists and you get like that different flavour. It makes it a lot more interesting. Now, for this first album, Soul Rebels, and it's not the first, but you know what I mean, the first album that I've listened to of here. For this album, Soul Rebels, it's only Bob Marley and Peter Tosh doing lead vocals. For the other 2, for Catch a Fire and Burning, Bunny Wailer also contributes vocals on a couple of tracks from those albums as well. So they're the most vocally diverse. There's 3 vocalists on both those albums. So favourite song from Soul Rebel is 400 Years. Catch a Fire, the next one, has my favourite album cover. It's like a lighter, and apparently it did actually hinge and open originally. That also has 400 Years on it, but it's a different recording, and it's a bit slower, and I don't like this one as much as the one on the other album. And it's one that I can't quite remember any individual songs from, but I recall liking the song Stir It Up quite a bit. Again, these ones that I've only listened to all these albums once, so I'm gonna need to re-listen to them to get them properly. I mean, obviously, you can never judge an album on your first listen. It's always gonna go up or down somewhere in your estimation. And you're obviously gonna become more and more familiar with the songs as you go on. But yeah, Stir It Up and I think Slave Driver were 2 that I liked. I recall I've added them both to my music that I like playlist anyway. Oh no, I didn't add Slave Driver, so maybe that one's not one of the good ones. But anyway, yeah. So that's that. And then Burning, obviously the most famous song, and of these 3 albums, the only song that I already knew of theirs was I Shot the Sheriff. Having now heard this and Eric Clapton's version, I think I prefer Eric Clapton's version, but it's very close. I just think I prefer the way he did the melody to this. But yeah, there's some pretty good songs on this. Get Up, Stand Up. I like I'm pronouncing this very British, Get Up, Stand Up, Man, and Small Axe, Man. So those 2, Get Up, Stand Up, and Small Axe are the 2 songs that I really like from this. So if you can only listen to one, so now, yeah, that's all that. Now doing the recap. If you can only watch one film, I'm not sure I can choose between Angel's Egg and Virgin and the Monster. They're both really great. I'll just go, if you prefer animated films, watch Angel's Egg, and if you prefer live action films, watch The Virgin and the Monster. But they're both great, and if you have the time, I'd heavily recommend watching both of them. In fact, I'd heavily recommend watching all 3. I mean, The Conversation, although it didn't really click with me, a lot of people really, really love it, and it did win like 4 Oscars, so you know, I'm not saying the Oscars know more than we, but a lot of people really, really love The Conversation. So I'd just recommend checking out all 3 films. Like, I'm sure you can find the time somewhere in your week to watch 3 films. I'm sure you're perfectly capable of doing that, whoever you are. But yeah, definitely the 2 I'd recommend more are Angel's Egg and Virgin and the Monster. Because I mean, The Conversation is a famous film, but these 2 aren't really that well known outside of, you know, their specialist, you know, groups. Of the 3 Yoko Ono albums, I think Star Piece was the one I enjoyed the most. Of the 3 Bee Gees albums, 2 Years On, without a shadow of the doubt, is the best of the 3. And out of the Bob Marley and the Wailers albums, I think Soul Rebel was the one that I enjoyed the most. Or is it Soul Rebel or Soul Rebels? I think the album is called Soul Rebels. Yeah. I've put Soul Rebel there, but it's called Soul Rebels. I think you can figure it out on your own anyway. But I think of the 3, that's the one I enjoyed the most. I think I just preferred I think the bass was a bit bassier in that one. Slightly, but I think that's just the one that I enjoyed the most. And 400 Years is the best song of his that I've heard so far. So even though it's actually Peter Tosh, it's not Bob Marley, but you know what I mean. But out of all of the albums, I'd recommend the Bee Gees 2 Years On. So if you can only listen to one of these 9 albums, make it the Bee Gees 2 Years On, because that's the album I've revisited. There's 4 songs on there that I've gone back to constantly over the last month. And it's only one of 2 albums, Cucumber Castle being the only other one that I've actually gone back and listened to any songs from. So, yeah, definitely 2 Years On is the album that I'd recommend the most. So yeah, that is that. It's been a good month for me. I haven't watched many films, but the 3 that I've watched I've enjoyed quite a bit, particularly Angel's Egg and Virgin and the Monster, just masterpieces. Some pretty good albums, a couple of very good albums within those good albums, and back on the gaming channel, enjoying getting back into gaming, because I had a 2-month break, which is the longest break I've had since I've gotten back into making videos on that channel, since, you know, in like January of 24, which is when I started uploading on a more consistent basis. The longest break I've had is about a month and a half, so a full 2-month break is easily the longest break I've had since then. But yeah, having said all that, I hope you guys have had a good September. I hope you have a good October. And I will see ya in the next thing that I do. Goodbye.